Have you ever felt completely drained by midday, wondering how you'll make it through the rest of the afternoon? Now picture this: ancient monks rising before the sun, spending their entire day in prayer, meditation, and hard physical labor, and still having energy to spare late into the night. How did they do it? It turns out they possessed a set of powerful secrets for seemingly endless energy. Practices they distilled from some of the most debated and controversial passages in the Bible. This wasn't just about faith, it was about ancient wisdom that modern science is only now beginning to understand. These stories, often viewed as purely symbolic, contain patterns of human resilience that challenge everything we think we know about energy. For centuries, monks across different traditions extracted these practical secrets and applied them to their daily lives. Let's start with the prophet Elijah. After an intense confrontation with 450 prophets of Baal, the Bible says he ran nearly 30 kilometers. That's like running a half marathon after the most stressful day of your life. How? The key was a period of preparation in the desert that tuned his body to the natural rhythms of rest and action. From passages like this, monks developed techniques like rhythmic breathing, which deeply oxygenates the body and awakens dormant energy reserves that we all possess. Then there's the story of Moses and his famous fast on the mountain. Monks didn't try to replicate such extreme acts. Instead, they embraced the principle behind them: controlled restriction. They practiced what we might call microfasts, typically 16 to 18 hours, followed by targeted, nourishing meals. Sound familiar today? Science calls this intermittent fasting. It gently pushes the body into a state of ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel much more efficiently and produces ketones, which are like rocket fuel for the brain, leading to sharp mental clarity. The monks didn't know the biochemistry. They just knew that when they did this, fatigue vanished and their focus soared. And what about Samson? We all know the story of his hair, but that was just a symbol of his Nazirite vow, symbol of total commitment to his purpose. The real source of his legendary strength was the powerful alignment of his mind, his body, and his mission. Monks translated this into a practice called purpose anchoring. Each morning, they would perform a brief ritual to connect with their why. This simple act activates the prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center, boosting motivation and literally converting a sense of meaning into physical stamina. When your purpose is clear, your energy follows. Think about David and Goliath. Where did a young shepherd find the courage to face a giant? It wasn't just a lucky shot. David's confidence came from prior high-stakes experiences, like defending his flock from lions and bears. These moments trained him to enter a state of flow, where time seems to slow down, movements become precise and effortless, and fatigue simply fades into the background. Monks cultivated this flow state by pairing rhythmic prayer with synchronized movements, creating a kind of moving meditation. This practice quiets the inner critic and self-doubt, allowing for peak performance without the mental drain. But what happens when you feel tired? Our natural instinct is to fight it, to push through it. The story of Jonah offers a different path. Running from his purpose drained his energy completely. Monks learned from this the art of active surrender. Instead of resisting fatigue, they would acknowledge it, sit with it for just a few minutes, and allow it to be. This simple act of acceptance activates the parasympathetic nervous system, or body's rest and digest mode, which lowers the stress hormone cortisol and dramatically speeds up recovery. It's a principle found in traditions from Tibet to Sufism. Resistance wastes energy, acceptance redirects it. Consistency was also key. Daniel's practice of praying 3 times a day at set times wasn't just about religious devotion. It created a spiritual circadian rhythm. Monastic life is built around this, with canonical hours like Matins, Lauds, and Vespers aligning their activities with the body's natural energy peaks and dips throughout the day. They instinctively knew what modern science confirms: our bodies thrive on routine. A brief pause in the mid-afternoon, around 3 p.m., works as a powerful reset for the nervous system. You don't have to be religious to benefit from this. Taking just a 3 to 5 minute breathing break at set intervals can multiply your sustainable energy. One of the most profound stories is the Transfiguration, where Jesus, after a night of prayer, is described as radiating light. This points to a deep form of renewal. Hesychast monks, an Eastern Christian tradition, practiced what's called contemplative vigil. They would enter deep meditative states where brainwaves shift to theta, a state that aids in neurological recovery, allowing them to feel rested even while awake. They used simple tools like the Jesus prayer, synchronized with a breath, to quiet the brain's default mode network, that chattering voice in our heads, and produce a state of alert restfulness. The Apostle Paul famously wrote about finding strength in weakness. This seems counterintuitive, but monks understood its power. Admitting your limits frees up an enormous amount of energy that would otherwise be spent maintaining a facade of being invincible. This practice of active humility, which is very similar to modern self-compassion, downshifts the body's stress response, unlocking mental and physical reserves you didn't even know you had. And what about the miracle of the loaves and fishes? For the monks, the detail of 12 baskets left over became a powerful metaphor and a guiding rule. Focus on the essentials and eliminate waste. They structured their days in focused blocks of work, followed by periods of complete rest. They would alternate between manual labor, intellectual study, and contemplative prayer, allowing different networks in the brain to recover while others were active. Modern research completely agrees. Multitasking is a myth. It just taxes your brain and kills your efficiency. Even the story of Jesus' temptation in the desert holds a practical lesson. Monks didn't see it as just a story about good versus evil. They saw it as a blueprint for mental resilience. They practiced what could be called intelligent asceticism, introducing controlled discomforts into their lives, like simple food, hard beds, or rising early. This wasn't about punishment. It was about training. It strengthens the prefrontal cortex's control over our impulses and dramatically raises our tolerance to fatigue and stress. Elite athletes do this all the time with ice baths, altitude training, and strategic fasting. Finally, consider the story of Lazarus. To be resurrected, his grave cloths had to be removed. Renewal requires letting go of the old. Monks practiced a nightly examen, a conscious review of their day, often through journaling, where they would release their worries, failures, and anxieties. Research now shows that this simple practice significantly improves sleep quality, eases anxiety, and boosts next-day energy levels. You can't carry yesterday's burdens and expect to have energy for today. So, how can we bring all this ancient wisdom into our busy modern lives? Let's create an integrated practice. In the morning, wake up at a consistent time. Do 5 minutes of controlled breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Pause for 2. Exhale for 6. Pause for 2. Take 3 minutes to anchor your purpose for the day. Then, do 3 to 5 minutes of light movement or stretching. During the day, work in focused, 90-minute blocks. Between each block, take a 5-minute breathing reset. Try to alternate between different types of tasks, mental, physical, creative, to give parts of your brain a rest. And when you feel that wall of resistance or fatigue, don't fight it. Practice 2 minutes of active surrender. In the afternoon, around 3 p.m., take a 10-minute contemplative walk, or just 5 minutes of deep breathing, maybe while getting some sunlight. In the evening, do a 10-minute nightly review. Write down what went well, what you're letting go of, and what you're grateful for. Then, do 5 minutes of that 4 to 6 to breathing to calm your nervous system before sleep. And weekly, try one 16-hour fast and maybe one session of controlled discomfort like a cold shower or a tough workout to build your resilience. These monastic secrets, distilled from bold biblical narratives, are not just ancient history. They align perfectly with modern science. True sustainable energy isn't just about what you eat or how much coffee you drink. It's about alignment. It's about resolving inner conflicts, eliminating mental and physical waste, and syncing your life with your body's natural rhythms. When you do that, you tap into buried reserves of energy that you never knew you had. You don't have to do everything at once. Start small. The next time you feel tired, try the 4 to 6 to breathing. Tomorrow morning, take just 3 minutes to connect with your purpose. The difference between knowing these things and experiencing them is practice. The manual for human excellence is already in your hands. It's time to use it. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this valuable, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more content on timeless wisdom for modern life. See you in the next one.